Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. I want to deconstruct this conservative narrative that is dismissing the reality of COVID-19 in favor of reopening America. I believe this is a dangerous narrative that at the very least is going to cause a lot of heartaches and at the worst cost lives. Now before we do, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Well, people are taking the streets, storming state capitals, protests in favor of reopening America. One of their battle cries, of course, is that their freedoms are being robbed. Tyranny is happening. In some cases, liken the government shutdown to slavery, and that they should respond by being the, Rosa Parks and rise up and stand for freedom, like the Negroes who fought for civil rights. No, I'm not going to go there, but I think you can tell by the tone, how I feel about that. Now, I get it. The government shutdown has wreaked havoc on our economy and on our lives. Livelihoods are being destroyed. We're at the highest unemployment since the Depression era. So I get it. I would even also go a step further and say, yes, America needs to reopen, but at what price? What's more dangerous is the narrative that is being driven, fueled by conservative leaders, conservative pundits, conservative news sources, that they're making the governors who are shutting down their government enemies. Dr. Fauci, who is the medical advisor to the White House. You see how Fox News is just doing their best to destroy this man. Saying, who does this man think he is? He's not a dictator. We shouldn't stay open because of his whims. Who is he? And you have people actually saying this. Now, here's the problem. They're changing the narrative and thus conditioning people to see a certain narrative. Here's some of the things that they're saying. That the Democrats want the shutdown. They want the shutdown to hurt the president. They want the shutdown to further their liberal agendas. Excuse me. Now, I can't think of one person who wants that, who have said that. But conservative pundits, this is what they're saying. And then you hear people regurgitating that. Of course, there is the religious freedoms. Just in the last week, over 3,000 pastors have vowed to defy state orders and hold church services. This is not a religious freedom. In other words, the stay-home orders weren't designed to hinder the cause of Christ, to stop the spread of the gospel, as Rome did during the time of Paul and Peter. That when the Pharisees in the 4th and the 5th chapter of Acts, they demanded that Peter and John stop preaching the gospel and at one point beat them. No, we're not there. Here's the thing, people. Let's remind what we're dealing with. And I want to say this, that could this crisis have been handled better? Of course it could have. Remember, we're dealing with a respiratory virus that attacks the respiratory system. If you're on a younger and healthier, it's going to be like a bad flu. And even with that, you don't want to go through it. Anyone that I've known, everyone that I have known, have always said that they don't want to ever go through that. It's horrible. Now, of course, if you have health issues and older, it's going to hit you more serious, even including death. Now, I have known 3 people who have died from COVID-19. But what is disturbing is people are willing to disregard all of those facts. To date, since January, over 1.4 million people in the United States have been confirmed to test positive for COVID-19. And nearly 90,000 people have died, again, since January. And here's what hasn't changed in all of this talk about reopening. This virus has no cure and no vaccines. In fact, one of the most frightening things the president has said is that, we're vaccine or not, we're still back. But remember, we have no vaccine or cure, and this virus spreads at an incredibly fast rate with a very easy, it's easily contagious. In other words, we can catch this thing. And on top of that, there are people who can have symptoms and yes, spread it. But then there are people who are not symptomatics and showing symptoms and can still catch it. I know a coworker who has tested positive, but she wasn't a carrier. So guess what? If you're going to reopen now, can you recognize her? Will you be able to see COVID-19 on her? How many people are going to these rallies are positive for COVID-19, but yet they're not showing symptoms such as a cough or a fever? One of the problems is that, let's go back and think about something and look at this illustration. If your house catches on fire, you call the fire department. They show up. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to seize your freedoms. That's right. They're going to take you out of the house. They have the authority to do so. But now, are they taking you out of the house because they want to seize your American freedoms or your constitutional freedoms? No. They take you out. They have authority to take you out of the house so they can do what? First, stop the fire. The fire is hot. The fire can burn. Fire produces smoke, and that can kill you. If it doesn't kill you, it can burn you. So what do? They seize your freedoms and they take you out. Then they make a determination. Can you go back into the house? If they deem that your house is inhabitable, they'll put a sticker on it and says you cannot go back in. Now, is that seizing your freedoms? It's for your safety. And here's what I want to say. In this shutdown, remember, the president lingered to take, in my opinion, proper action that probably could have stifled the spread of this virus. And so now, further, when they shut down, we didn't have the proper testing. We didn't have the proper procedures. And mostly people don't have the proper information. There are a lot of people that really don't know what the heck COVID-19 is. Let me give you an example. On my job, there was a person who said that they were testing some generators. These are outside generators. And they go, well, we're not going to come on your property. We're not going to test unless you air out the generators. Air out the generators have nothing to do with anything. If they were smart, they would have asked, disinfect. My point is, we don't have proper information. And so when those who are going to reopen, and my point is, okay, if you're going to attempt to reopen, then how about educate the people with the proper information that we need? For example, why do you wear a mask? See? And there's a lot of confusion on that. On top of the fact that you have conservative pundits that are railing against that. Masks don't mean anything. Masks don't protect you. Masks don't do this, right? But what do masks do? Masks don't protect you per se, but they stop you from spreading it. But watch this. If you're wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask, we're not going to spread it to each other. Now, that's just one example, right? How about this? Wash hands. We wash hands and stuff. That's if you do have it and your droplets hand on a hard surface, it's not touch it. I'm not going to introduce it through my eyes, nose, and mouth. Proper information. But that's not what's going on in a lot of cases. People who are pushing for the reopening of America, protesting, even armed protesters, do so because they're just tired of being at home. They haven't gotten a haircut, haven't gotten their nails done. And this is the kind of nonsense that if we open, just like a fire, if the fire chief who comes to you, responds to your house and let you back in your house before they have properly put the fire out, it can smolder and start the fire again, and you'll be back at square one. Are we looking at the same thing? That if we reopen America before we're properly educated, before we have proper testing, will we not be affecting people again? There are nations who have reopened and have had to shut down again for the very same reason. As I said, I get it that the economy is crashing, but let's not reopen because we're being pulled, our strings are being pulled for other motives, such as political motives and financial greed motives. So let's do it right. Okay, guys, that's my perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. And please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, The Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then.